Hi Year 10s, hope you had a good half term and that you had a break from your schoolwork over the half term week. This half term I really want us to get started properly on coursework 2, and so this little video is just to talk you through how we're going to do that, and then I've set a bit of an exercise for you. The other thing is that at 12 o'clock today, Tuesday, I'm going to be doing a bit of a live Q&A just by audio link on Teams, and I invite as many of you as possible to join in with that. So if you've got any questions that you want answering before we properly get started on coursework 2, then that's your opportunity to do that. If you can't join me for that, then that's okay, but do send me your questions via the chat facilities on Teams. So first of all, a bit of a reminder what coursework 2 is all about. It's got 3 parts to it, 3 learning aims. Learning aim A is to plan a micro enterprise activity. Learning aim B is then to pitch that micro enterprise activity with a presentation. And learning aim C is to review your plan and your pitch. And as I said in a previous video, in this summer term, we're focusing on learning aim A, and then learning aim B and learning aim C are things that we're going to do when we're back in year 11. Okay, so that's a little bit of an introduction, a little bit of a reminder. And remember, it must be an individual piece of work. It can't be something that you work on in groups with other people. So what is a micro enterprise activity? What do we mean? We've been through this before, and you looked at that example handmade by Hannah, where she was talking about making bunting to be sold at a car boot sale. So it should be either something that you could do now in your spare time, or some sort of money making enterprise that you could plan to do at a one-off event such as a car boot sale or a fair or something like that. Or perhaps something that you could turn into a micro business, a micro enterprise of less than 10 people after you leave school. And it's not something that you actually have to carry out and do in real life. You don't have to turn it into a real business, but if you wanted to, then there's nothing to stop you from doing that. So let's look now at the assessment guidelines for this piece of coursework, and I'm focusing just on learning aim A at the moment, the actual creating of your plan, because the other bits we're going to look at later in year 11. Okay, so in order to get a level 2 pass on this coursework, these are the assessment guidelines for doing that. Okay, and I'm just going to go through a few details on that. So it says that learners will have to clearly describe their 3 potential ideas. So the first thing you're going to need to do is come up with 3 ideas for your business plan and clearly describe those, go into some detail. So one of the things I want you to do this week is to come up with your 3 ideas and do a bit of description of those. You're going to need to do some market research on each of those 3 ideas, because it says you need to give clear records of your market research for each idea. Okay, and clear records should include what market research you did, if you did a survey or something like that, the questions that you asked in your survey and your results from that market research. Okay, and also then you need to give reasons for the choice that you made for which of your 3 potential ideas you ended up deciding to follow through with, and finally showing how you considered relevant factors. So you need to give the reasons for why you chose the idea you did, and in that first section you need to explain why you made that decision, talking about the resources, the financial forecasts that you'd made, maybe the costing and pricing that you thought through, the way in which you communicated and promote, you're planning to communicate and promote your idea, and who your potential customers will be. If you've been following through the tasks that I've been setting last half term, preparing us for this, then hopefully you should already have some sort of sense of an understanding of what you need to do for that. If you haven't been following through on those tasks, the assignments that I set last half term, then I would recommend that you at least read through those tasks so that you have some sort of idea of the sorts of things that we're talking about and what's in the textbook. about these sections. Okay, so that's the basis of what you need to do for a level 2 pass, thinking about all three of your ideas. And then there's this section underneath which is talking about the plan and what you need to do for creating your actual business plan. But rather than looking at what you need to do for the level 2 pass for that, I want you to look at what you need to do for the level 2 distinction. So if you don't quite manage to do what's in this list of stuff for distinction, then obviously you're going to end up with a level 2 merit or a level 2 pass, but aim for these expectations for a distinction. So it says learners will produce a comprehensive plan. So comprehensive means detailed, covering all the details. A comprehensive plan that gives details of all the elements, including an explanation of the aim of the enterprise activity. So you need to think about what are you aiming to achieve through this enterprise activity, an estimate of the resources required. And in one of the tasks that I set last half term, that was all about resources, physical, financial, and a discussion of how these resources are to be obtained or funded, an appropriate timescale for the activity. When are you planning on actually doing it? I know in reality you're not going to do it, but you need to talk about the timescales over which you'd expect to carry out that enterprise activity, from initial plan through to finishing off all your trading and wrapping up the business, how you're going to promote the enterprise activity and why those methods of promotion are appropriate for your target market, a risk assessment. And one of the last assignments that I set you included about risk assessment. So risk assessment and contingency plan. And what I noticed when marking some of your work on risk assessment is that some of you hadn't really thought about a contingency plan for the risks that you'd identified. So all of those things are important for your final piece of coursework, and you'll give detailed and valid reasons for the choices made. And it's important that all the things that you use, all the decisions you make, all the costs you give are realistic. Okay, so that's important for distinction. What we're going to focus on in the next couple of weeks, though, is this first bit, which is the level 2 pass bit, thinking about those 3 ideas. So here's what I want you to be doing over this week and next week. This week, you're going to decide on your 3 ideas, and some of you have already given that some thought through the assignments that I've already set. You're going to clearly describe each idea that you've got, and that needs to go into a little bit more detail than we've done so far. And I'll give you a writing frame to base this on. So you need to include the resources that you'll need to carry out that idea, some estimates of cost and pricing, some basic financial forecasts. For example, if I manage to sell this many of my product, then this is how much I would make, and therefore I would get this profit. That sort of financial forecasting. Who your target market are, who you're aiming your products at, your potential customers, and the methods of communication and promotion that you might use to communicate with those potential customers and to try and promote your business. So that's something you need to do for all 3 of your ideas, and you must have 3 ideas. If you don't have 3 ideas, then you can't achieve that level 2 pass. It's very important to consider 3 different ideas. So don't just think, okay, I know which idea I'm going to go with, I'm just going to do 1 idea or 2 ideas. You must go through 3 ideas, and you must, for that level 2 pass, show clear records of market research for all those 3 ideas. So then the next thing I want you to be doing this week is outlining what market research you think you could do for each of those 3 ideas, both primary and secondary market research. Okay, you're not going to do that research this week, but I want you to start to think about what research you could do. And then next week, and I'll give more details about this when we get into next week, you're then going to focus on starting to carry out that market research. So hopefully after the end of next week, you'll have your 3 ideas, you'll have described those 3 ideas in a detailed enough way to get that level 2 pass, and also you'll have at least started, if not finished, doing your market research, so that you're at a point of being able to decide which idea you're going to go ahead with. Okay, so there's going to be more details with the assignment that I set for this week. As I say, please do, if you can, join us at 12 o'clock today. to have a bit of a live Q&A. It won't be a video link because we're not doing video links as a school. It'll just be an audio link, but it'll mean we can actually talk to each other in person, and you can ask me any questions about this coursework, and also we'll have a bit of an opportunity to deal with any outstanding questions on Coursework 1 as well. So do join us if you can at 12 o'clock today. That's 12 o'clock on Tuesday the 2nd of June. Okay, I'll see you later. Bye.